LiberalViewer present.
So across the United States in 2007 and 2008, the Association of Community Organizations for Reform Now, or ACORN, engaged in a nonpartisan registration effort that reached out to members of every party and brought in more than 1.3 million new voters. In order to accomplish this incredible feat of enfranchisement, ACORN employed more than 13,000 workers, paying them $12 an hour to get new voters to fill out registration forms. And as you might expect when employing over 13,000 workers, a few of the workers didn't do their jobs and instead turned in fraudulent forms, and ACORN fully cooperated in the prosecutions of these employees who had also defrauded ACORN, and the ACORN group itself has never been charged with any wrongdoing. And more importantly, the few false registration cases have never led to any cases of actual voter fraud, despite the warnings about massive voter fraud by ACORN you may have heard on Fox News before the fall election. Yet there was no apology from Fox News anchor Megyn Kelly for that Fall Fear campaign this week when she brought ACORN spokesperson Scott Levenson on to her America's Newsroom program, supposedly to interview him, but instead just smeared him. And so you can fairly answer my questions at the end, I'll show the Fox News segment in its 7-minute, 41-second entirety right here.
Well, news this week of the Census Bureau using the community organizers at ACORN to help with the 2010 census has raised some eyebrows. That's because ACORN has been under investigation in several states for voter registration fraud. The census plays a major role in how elections play out across this country. So does it really make sense for the Bureau to use ACORN? To hear ACORN's side, we're joined by its national spokesman, Scott Levenson. Scott, good morning to you.
Hi, Megan. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. So, you know, a lot of our viewers, they think your group is corrupt, that you've been found guilty of fraud in several states, and they don't want you having anything to do with the census. What say you?
Let's please not repeat the same old lies that we heard from Fox for months.
Lies?
Your network for months reported these fears of voter fraud, and
well, 8 workers pleaded guilty to. No, but
Megan,
you've accused us of lying. So let me set the record straight, and then you can respond. In Missouri, 8 ACORN workers pleaded guilty to election fraud. Another was just indicted. In Washington State, 7 ACORN workers were indicted. 3 pleaded guilty. In what was called the worst case of voter fraud in state history.
You want to repeat the same?
I can go on.
So it's 4 months after the election, Megan. 4 months after your station talked. Again, 4 months after the election, 4 months have gone by. We haven't heard about one person voting in that election who wasn't supposed to vote. Not one.
So that excuses the registration fraud.
No, if you could just let me finish the thought. You know, we're once again talking about stuff that you guys talked about in the fall, where months have gone by, where you guys created this fear of massive voter fraud, and we have no evidence of any voter fraud.
We don't?
But now,
let me ask you. Is a guilty plea not evidence enough for you?
Well, once again, since you're talking about voter fraud, that doesn't pertain to any of the cases you talked about. And, you know, when someone steals...
How about perjury?
Megan, please let me finish.
How about perjury?
Please let me finish. Does
that not count?
Because I thought we were actually here to talk about the census. We'd actually love to talk about our foreclosure.
Right, now you want to get off point because you know I have a point.
No,
because
quite frankly, you don't have a point.
Oh, I do have a point.
No, you want to talk about that?
Forced to do background checks in New Mexico because 9 of your employees have felony records, including child rape.
You do not have one case.
Is that what's going to happen? You're going to send child rapists out to conduct the census?
You don't have one case who voted improperly because of our registration. Not one. You don't have one case where someone voted who wasn't supposed to vote.
I see. So because
Megan,
it didn't translate into actual voter fraud,
well, what are you fearing,
the voter registration fraud is excused. You have no problem with that.
Well, you talk about for months, voter fraud. The fear of this election being in question. And you don't even have your facts straight, Megan, once again.
Voter registration fraud.
So now it's voter registration fraud, which, again,
your workers have done it across the country.
Also in Walmart, someone steals from Walmart, or someone steals from Fox. Do we say Fox should be attacked? Fox should be accused? No. We convict the worker. And in every one of those cases, of course, another thing you're not reporting.
You're under investigation
another one of those things reporting. Another thing you're not reporting is in each of the cases you just talked about, we cooperated with prosecutors. We turned over evidence to prosecutors.
By pleading guilty.
So once again, you don't even have the facts straight, Megan. But if you want to have an actual discussion about
I'd love to get a word in edgewise. I'd love to tell you.
You'd like to get a word in edgewise, but you make all these accusations for months about us committing voter fraud, and you don't have one case. But let's talk about the voter fraud.
Let's talk about the fraud that you pleaded guilty to, that you want to whitewash because you don't think it's relevant.
Yes, you did. No, we didn't.
You did. 8 workers just pleaded guilty in Missouri.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear, Megan. Now we got our facts straight. You're talking about people who were paid $12 an hour of 13,000 workers.
It's not
so
the
when
group.
someone steals from Fox,
So wait, let me get this
so
clear.
when someone steals from Fox,
is it the big corporation? Excuse me, Scott. Let me ask you in response to your point. Let me ask you.
Do we in fact attack Fox?
Let me ask you, Scott.
Is that what we do? Do we attack Fox?
Do I have to cut your mic?
Do we have? I mean, you can cut my mic, but that would just show that you don't want a real exchange of thoughts.
I want to ask the question, and then I want an answer.
You want to continue the same lies. Again, you invited me to be on to talk about the census, and you don't even want to talk about that.
You know what?
I'd love to talk about
You're not going to just talk over me. You're going to give answers to my questions, or I'm going to cut your mic. What's it going to be?
Let's talk, Megyn. What do you want to talk about?
I want to ask you, Scott.
Please.
Why the viewer should not be concerned when your workers, you're pinning it on your workers, not the corporation. Why should they not be concerned that your workers will be the ones who will now help conduct the U.S. Census?
Now that's a good question, Megyn. Let's talk about that.
Scott.
Because I have here the census form that is available online, and I want to talk about some of the things that ACORN has been asked to do in the census. We've been asked to put information about the census on our website. Surely Fox can't be concerned that we're trying to inform the public in cooperation with the census about information they want on our website. You realize, Megyn, that in 2000 over 140,000 organizations participated in the census. We're one of 300 partner organizations. But please, since you were concerned with what ACORN would be doing for the census,
would they be going door to door?
Read from the form.
Would they answer my question? Would they be going door to door?
No, Megyn, that is in fact not part of the partnering that we've agreed to.
Okay,
in
so
fact,
you're
Megyn,
assuring
please,
us right
let
now.
me finish
No, I just want to be clear. You're assuring us right now no ACORN workers will be knocking on the doors of any American.
What I am what is the fear here, Megyn?
No, just
let's talk about here.
Answer my question.
No,
is that a fact?
What I am telling you is what we've agreed to at point. What our
answer my question,
is.
Scott.
I can't tell.
Yes
well,
or
first
no?
Of all, it'll be the census that'll be hiring workers, not ACORN.
And you will be helping provide them with those workers. You'll be connecting them with ACORN workers.
Again, let me tell you again. We have agreed here to sponsor community events.
Don't read, Scott.
Agreed to sponsor community. I am, Megyn. I'm telling you exactly
the answer's not in your notes.
No, it's not in my
notes. Will ACORN
be
connecting the census officials with ACORN workers for the purpose of providing them to go door to door?
That is not what we've agreed to at this.
Okay, so no ACORN workers are going door to door.
That is not what we've agreed to. No, that is not what our partnership involves.
Okay, and it's not going to happen.
And it's not voluntary. Let me please. Our partnership involves a voluntary program of which ACORN receives no compensation, of which we are one of 300 partnership organizations. Surely Fox wants a clear, open, transparent, and accurate census, and we are one of 300 organizations that is participating in getting the word out. Surely Fox would like to participate as well.
Listen,
you
Scott,
could too.
all I can tell you is the American public wants a clean, open census.
So then it would be great if Fox participated as well.
The American public
we would love it if you were a partner.
Doesn't have faith in ACORN.
Well,
the polls don't support it, and neither do the repeated
Megyn,
indictments, guilty pleas, and investigations.
Like you have today, you can't change it.
Lie? Did 8 workers plead guilty to election fraud in Missouri?
You want to talk about who stole from Fox?
Were 7 indicted in Washington.
Look at all the people.
Scott, take care.
Take care, Megyn.
Let me finish up, since apparently I had to have the microphone to myself to be heard on this. 8 workers pleaded guilty to election fraud in Missouri. Another was just indicted. 7 indicted in Washington state. 3 pleaded guilty in what was called the worst case of voter registration fraud in state history. In Colorado, 2 were convicted of perjury and for false voter registration forms. In Pennsylvania, a former worker was charged with 19 counts of perjury, forgery, and identity theft. Again, ACORN. New Mexico, forced to perform background checks because 9 of ACORN's employees had felony records, including child rape. That's the reason people get concerned when ACORN gets involved.
I knew you wore those leopard spots for a reason today.
So, what do you think? Can anyone really defend that segment from America's Newsroom as an actual news interview, or was I more accurate in my introduction when I called it a smear job? And on the bigger question, why has Fox News spent so much time smearing ACORN, an organization whose main purpose is the political empowerment of low and moderate income families? I YouTube, you decide.